welcome to Ain't No Mountain Too High. I'm your host, Dianna, and today I have two wonderful guests, John Richards and David Lagan. So we're going to start off with Mr. John Richards, who happens to have an art gallery. Takes some wonderful, wonderful pictures. So, John.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you? Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about how you got started in the taking photos and how you got started with your art gallery?
Well, I started off with a performing arts background, actually. I was an actor.
Mm-hmm.
So as I was an actor, I slowly transitioned to modeling. And I remember after my first photo shoot, I just felt like I belonged in front of the camera, like I wasn't in the right place. But it took me a while to discover it until I received my first camera.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, and now your first camera, what camera was that?
It was a Nikon D5100.
Oh, okay. And was that a Christmas present or?
No, it was actually a gift for myself.
Oh, wonderful. You bought it for yourself. And so, do you still use the same camera or you're on something different now?
I transitioned to another system.
Okay, that's wonderful. And so the quality from then to now, as far as the upgrade of the camera, so you can see a difference in the quality of the pictures.
It wasn't so much the upgrade of the equipment, it was more upgrade of the technique. My images 3 years ago and my images today are two different things. I did have to go through an artistic growth. My first 10,000 images were horrible. I'll admit that.
Your first 10,000?
My first 10,000.
So did you have any training or anything?
No, I'm self-taught.
You're self-taught. Okay. Were there any books that you read, programs you may have watched?
A lot of YouTube videos, a couple YouTube videos, but it was mainly just taking photographs, just going out and capturing photographs, just trial and error.
Trial and error. Okay, so from when you purchased your first camera to now, do you see any growth in your work, in your pictures?
Yeah, there's a lot of growth.
Something you did then, you definitely wouldn't do now.
I mean, I wouldn't say I wouldn't do now. There's stuff, my old work that I'm still proud of, and I do feel like, maybe I can take it to the next level, tweak it up a little bit. Mm-hmm. But, I don't really feel like my old images and my new images are any better or whatever. It's just, it was part of my development.
Okay. So with your pictures, are these black and white or they're color or, because some photographers, they have a preference for just black and white, and then some have color and some both. So
I prefer color mainly, and many prefer to work in color. Mm-hmm. Black and white, that might be a future exhibition. I might play around with that because I love the theatrical and dramatic elements that come mm-hmm. with black and white.
Mm-hmm. Okay, John, you have anything you want to ask him?
Me?
Yes, you. You're a part of this table.
No, I'm just listening.
Oh, okay. All right. So now, you bought a couple of pictures here today, okay? And let's talk about, the first one here? What inspired you to take a picture like this?
Well, these images here are part of my exhibition called Created by Nature. So the whole exhibition and image was inspired by creative impulse, actually. Mm-hmm. It was just one morning I decided I wanted to get up out of bed and I wanted to go to the city, and I just knew I had to go to Central Park. Mm-hmm. So it was a gloomy day, and I just was walking around, just taking pictures, just spending the whole couple hours in Central Park just capturing images. And I felt like when it came to putting together my exhibition, mm-hmm. I was going through my body of work, and I just saw those images, and I just felt like it came together, literally it was created by nature because of all the like the landscape, like especially the landscape I captured, and to like the nature, just everything in one spot. Like I really felt creative by nature.
By nature. So, and what is the location for the first
This
picture?
is all the images are in Central Park.
All of them are well, Central Park is very big.
Mainly, I guess you could say Upper West Side area.
Upper West Side area. Okay. So now, I noticed that with your the pictures that you have them on some kind of, what is this, canvas or something? Why canvas?
I love canvas because I wanted to bring an artistic painting kind of feel and look to my images, because even though I do mainly work in photography, I do still consider myself an artist. So I felt like by putting on canvas, it bridges together because it turns my photograph into a work of art.
Interesting. So you're a photographer, but you feel yourself as an artist. It's on canvas, and you're an artist. Wonderful. I like it. So what about the second picture to your right over here?
So that image, once again, it was because it was part of a series. I worked in a series when it came to creating these images. Like there's really no, because whenever I take photographs in general, like I don't plan. Like I don't go and say, oh, I want to go to this area and take pictures. Like it just happens. What happens in the moment of time, like that moment of time. Like so
Okay.
for each image, it was just I'm walking around Central Park, and there's just certain spots and places that happen to be at where I captured that moment.
So wherever you're inspired is what you do. So now, do you have a day or night preference as far as taking pictures? Would you prefer day to night, or?
I prefer mainly day for street photography, and nighttime always for like events when I'm doing event photography.
And may I ask why?
I mean, I do have a socialite energy to me. Like I do love to go out, and I do love like when I go out to clubs and I go out to events so I can network and meet other artists as well.
So you've met a few artists, and that are they doing the same thing you're doing, or?
I mean, I saw myself an artist of all mediums. So even though I am, a photographer, I don't really necessarily only hang around photographers. Like I do have people that are painters, singers, dancers, writers, videographers, all the above, all together. Like, I like to surround myself really with just artistic people in general.
So, where do you see yourself in, like, maybe 2 years from now, as far as your art gallery is concerned? What would you like to see happen with this?
Well, I would like to see a physical location, because right now it is a pop-up gallery. My gallery is a pop-up gallery, so I do exhibit in alternate spaces. I exhibit in bars, I exhibit in studios, I exhibit in restaurants, I exhibit in libraries, I exhibit at public locations, but I do see myself in 2 years having a physical location.
Okay, in 2 years. Okay. And so now, if someone wanted to, like maybe one of our viewers, would want to purchase one of your canvas photographs, where would they go? How could they find you?
Well, my website is www.lensstreetgallery, Lens Street, RSTREET gallery.com. My Instagram name is Artist on the Street, and that will have my link to my website.
Okay, can you repeat that one more time for us? Okay.
So it's lensstreetgallery.com, and my Instagram is Artist on the Street. So if you can go to my Instagram, Artist on the Street, it will link you to my website.
Okay, that's wonderful. So now, how did you come up with the link site, Artist on the Street, and where's that coming from?
So when I came up with Artist on the Street, I was actually living in Miami at the time, and I felt like I needed to change my Instagram name, but I just felt like I needed a name that I felt was really true to me and my potential brand. And I am a street photographer, and that's just, I mean, when I'm on the street, it's just like I'm capturing images. I meet a lot of people, and especially when I meet people, they ask what they do. I say I'm an artist. So I just felt like, well, I'm somebody that likes to walk around. I don't like to be, besides my studio, I'm really not a homebody for the most part. Like when I'm in my studio, I'm in my studio. When I'm not, I'm definitely out on the street or just out somewhere. So it just came to me, just artists on the street, and I was like, I just kept it. I kept it. Had it for a year now.
Okay. So now, do you take pictures of people and, you know, animals and different things like that as well? You do?
Yeah, I do portraits as well.
Okay. And so if they go to your website, they can see different portraits that you've done. Okay. All right. So that sounds wonderful. And I like to thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure. And I'm sure my viewers thank you as well. So right now we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Don't you touch that. We'll be right back.
Still running.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Dianna, on the show Ain't No Mountain Too High. My next guest is David Lagon. Now, David wrote a book called Wonder Web, Bridging the Sales Void, a strategy vision for website success. Interesting, very interesting. And this is the cover of his book. So David, can you please tell us, and the viewers want to know, what inspired you to write the book?
I guess it's probably a culmination of my experience in the business world and in various aspects of entrepreneurial career. And also the fact that a family member had a business issue, and when I took a look at the website, I was kind of shocked. And I've often said to people that I believe most websites fail at the primary function of selling the person, the company, the products, the services. And I don't blame that to be the case because I myself always treated websites in the same way. But it finally dawned on me that the concept that I've used, like as a consultant or in my business experience, to come up with innovative ideas or innovative strategies, it all boiled down to a fundamental aspect that would work really well for websites. I call it the missing link of the website. And the whole idea is, how do you take the sales expertise that any business or any person has? I mean, because we all sell.
Right.
We're always selling. We're selling, again, to family,
Right.
friends. We're selling to fellow employees, to bosses, to underlings, whatever the case may be. And if you have a business, you're selling to customers or clients. People do a wonderful job one-on-one. But when you have, everyone puts a lot of money into a website, but rather than boring the visitor to death, why not constructively and positively sell them? So if they come to your website before meeting you, you want to sell them. If they come to your website after they met you, you want that website to reinforce that this was the best move in the world coming
Right.
here.
Right.
You don't want them to fall asleep reading it. You want them to be in agreement, to nod along and say, I want this. I truly do.
So, what do you feel are some of the key things that need to be in a website to keep someone's to keep someone focused?
Well, again, everybody has something positive. Everyone is unique. Every business, every product, every service is unique. There's something special. There's something that differentiates everything. If you have a business, for instance, what differentiates your business? It could be simply the people. It could be the service.
Right.
It could be the product. Whatever it is, you have to take a hard look at what you're doing
Yes.
and your market, and what are those aspects? What's special, unique, different about me? What are my strengths? Okay? And then, very important is, you have to look at the benefits that each of those strengths, that differentiating factors, offer your potential customer or client. If you can quantify that, whether financially or emotionally, okay, so you can explain the benefit. Everyone thinks if you say highest quality, lowest cost, you've won the game. But no, everyone says that. But if you can say what's so special about you, if you make a product and it's technologically advanced, to simply say technologically advanced, everyone says that. But then if it turns out that your equipment, which let's say costs $5,000, will save the buyer $70,000 over 5 years,
That's the
where
difference.
the competitors don't,
Right.
you
Right.
have a significant value to your product that no one knows about. So you want to explain that. If you're an artist, okay, there's an emotional benefit. Maybe people look and say to you constantly, I just keep smiling every time I look at your photos or your artwork.
They are
Well,
beautiful.
emphasize the fact, and if they're looking at it and they're smiling, they're saying, I see what you're talking about. You can't assume people know what you know. You have to explain it.
That's
And
true.
so your website should actually be your most powerful selling tool, and instead it's not. So if you take, and I call it that missing link between what the website should be doing and what you are trying to do personally, and I like the title of the book, Bridging the Sales Void. How do you bring your personal sales expertise and put it into the website? Okay.
Right.
Now, every page on that website's a sell. And I don't mean, selling snake oil or anything like that. I mean, you should be always explaining the positive aspects of it's different between the home page, which is a welcoming page, and your product or your services page.
Right, right.
Okay, and that's different from about us. Okay, now why, if you're going to have a page about the people involved in the company, why would you tell them I went to school here, I did this, I did that, and I was this kind of, who cares? Okay. Now, in some businesses, yes, it's very important, and you can put that in, but you don't want to bore them at first.
Right.
But if this person's strength contributes to the benefits that the product, the service, the company offers, focus on that and how that impacts the reader, the visitor. You always have to bring the visitor into this whole process. It can't be a one-way street, me talking, which I'm doing right now. But I mean, you want to, everything is about you, the visitor,
Right.
not about me. Oh, here's my page, I can brag. No. I want to tell you why I am important to this business in making something meaningful for you. And so every page has to have that sales element of conveying the things that are special, that are different, and the value in it, so that every time someone turns the page, they completely understand it, and they're completely reinforced page after page, rather than opening it up. And I give examples in here, things that people do wrong. Like if you're in New York State and you want to sell a product,
Right.
okay, they'll say sales tax. Everyone has to pay 8 5/8%. But why don't you just say, we're New York State, you're New York State, you pay 8 5/8. We suggest you go to an out-of-state vendor and you don't pay any sales tax. That's what I
Okay.
call negative. So there are ways to deal with the negative aspects. Everything should be positive. When you have company policies and you lay them out, most people don't even stop and think about it, but something happens along the way and they say, oh, well, we're going to have to handle it this way. They don't even stop to think that that negatively impacts their selling efforts. So this book kind of forces you to think about everything you're doing, how you're interacting with the public, okay, and how you make a negative a positive. Okay? How you sell yourself, and you're showing how you're so in tune with the customer or the client, whatever they may be,
Right.
okay, so that they want to do business with you. They want to refer people. There's nothing better than a referred client or customer. If they really love you, they're going to refer you. You're different. You're doing something that no one else is. You're showing that you understand them, you understand their needs, and you're satisfying their needs. And that's the basic thing. And that's why I say, the first few chapters talk about sales in general. And then the why us, I call it the why us chapter. But the why us is basically the key to everyone. We're all sitting here. You go home, maybe you have, a family member or your friends.
Right.
Okay, everyone says, I don't know, that guy or that gal gets everything she always wants. Well, they could either be pushy or they're just selling themselves. They don't even know it sometimes, but they do a good job. And someone walks in the room and go, that person's incredible. Well, they just exude the right kind of thing. They make people feel good about themselves. And if you're selling something, whether it be yourself or a product or a service, what is it that's going to make your market or your client or your friend or your family member or your child or your parent feel good about it? I mean, everyone knows when you feel very squeamish about presenting something, it's not quite right. So why isn't it right? Figure out how to make it
Right.
presented in the
Right.
most positive way. And that's it. And I call it a strategic vision for website success. It's really a strategic vision for any kind of success in selling. We all basically sell all the time, either we acknowledge it or not.
Is this your first book?
Yes.
It is. And I'm sure your family is proud of you.
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea. Yeah, he wrote a book. Okay.
So how many chapters?
There's 10, I believe. I tried to keep it as short as possible. The idea being is, someone said to me, whatever you do, keep it short, because if you have a big book, I put it on my desk, I'm not going to pick it up. If it's a short, and it's true. I mean, I can talk and talk and talk, and the idea was to try to streamline it into the important ideas. It's the kind of book, though, that it's kind of like peeling an onion, is it? Or, there's different layers in there. And if you read it once, you'll get some ideas, but you're focusing on one thought while you skim through another, and you don't realize it. But if you stop and think, like I have the last 4 or 5 chapters are devoted to websites. Well, you can easily adapt that to anything. When you stop to talk about customer care, customer service, well, it's family care, family service, or whatever you're doing, you can extrapolate and put it into your own life and your own situation. whether you're, again, we were talking before, whether you're seeking a job or looking for a raise,
Right.
okay? You can't sit there and complain that they don't understand. This is your opportunity to explain why you are of value, why you are so good.
Right.
And you can lay down all your accomplishment and what it means to the company. When they're sitting there nodding along, they're saying, that's right, well, oh, yes. I mean, that should have some bearing on your evaluation and raises. If you're seeking to have new customers, okay, whatever it is, you work with clients and customers, what's special about you and your company? What are you offering that's different from everyone else? You go onto a website and you say, well, let's just look for darts. And you see 5 dart companies, they all look the same product. They're not the same, though. They might give you the same product, but they deal with you differently.
Right.
Okay? And that's what you want to express. If you don't express that, you're just like everyone else. So you go from website to website to website looking for the best price. And the guy that paid the most is going to be the loser because they go there first and they see $50. They go to the second website, they say $50. They go to the third website, they say $50, and they say, I'm getting tired of this, I'll just buy. And they hit because they don't know the difference between the 3 companies. So if you present yourself that way, which everyone does, it's all on price. You have no loyalty. No one's going to come back. But if in the process they look at the price and they see a whole different world, you're explaining things in ways, you might have, by the way, we have a features primer page if you want to get some background information on what cameras are all about. Okay, you open it up and say f-stop, shutter speed, and why this is important. If you're looking for a lens, why do you want a fast lens? A lot of people are embarrassed to ask these questions, but here you have a little page and you open it up with, you think it's important that you make an intelligent decision, that you're very happy. So here's some information. Sure, we are conversant within the industry, but you might not be. You might, but it's a refresher. But if you lay down all this information, people will then, if they really want it, they'll look at it and they'll say, wow, I didn't get that anywhere else. If you're looking for cameras, you've looked for cameras probably. You look on it, you can't tell the difference. You really can't.
After a while, it just
Nikon,
all
Canon,
the same.
Sony, who cares?
Right.
What is it all about? I mean, I kept saying, well, the questions I always have with cameras, I can't get an answer to. So you have to go into a store and hope this person isn't just selling you, and that it's fact-based as well. And it's really a hit or miss. So if you lay it out in a website in a way and people say, oh my God, this was incredible, and you want to be truthful,
Right.
by all means, always be
Right.
truthful. And the funny part is there's some people you say, why are they in business? Well, the point is there is a market for their product. And the internet allows you to travel throughout the country, throughout the world, to find that market. Your current location might be very poor for it. But over the internet, all of a sudden you're getting customers in Mississippi or California or Ohio, wherever. And it's of value to them. And so it doesn't matter where you are, where you reside. And if you present it right, you'll be able to find your market and succeed with it. Anyway.
So the cover, so my viewers can see the cover. The cover, how did you come up with the cover? What inspired you to?
Well, the cover is
do the
another
cover
long
book
story,
on?
but I'll cut it short. My
Okay.
kids hated the image.
Really?
Well, they wanted things like light bulbs or a man carrying a suit attaché case like this image.
Okay.
They wanted different looks, and they didn't understand it. And I said, this is an image of a bridge. It's the Verrazano Narrows Bridge. It has like kinetic energy with the static and the lighting, the moving traffic. It's just very energetic, a lot of like matrix.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's the internet. What is the internet? And I thought it represented chaos and bringing people, driving them back in a very abstract way, driving them from the direct selling efforts over that bridge, over that void, via the bridge, to the website and transfer that sales expertise there. so that you can sell on the website, on their website.
So did you take this picture? Or-
Yes. Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Well, what did you use to take the picture? A camera or your cell phone?
Camera. No,
Camera?
no. Yeah, this is all regular camera work.
Camera.
Very dangerous.
Were you in your car?
Yes. They have different bridge studies and stuff like that.
This is definitely an interesting cover, and it gives off a lot of energy.
Right.
It definitely gives a lot of energy.
Right. Well, I
That's
overruled
interesting.
my entire family, and it's
John, do you have any questions for David?
I do actually. Now,
Okay.
as an artist, we like to believe that art sells itself. Like, how do you go about like selling your art without selling in a way?
well. When I say selling, I think I mentioned before, you don't have to be aggressive selling. You want to be assertive. Everything we do, if you're passive, yeah, maybe you have a 10% chance of success. If you there are ways to be assertive and appear passive. But the most important thing is you want to get a feel for what the visitor wants. What are they looking for? Then you would think of your own artwork, and if you can suggest art pieces that meet that demand, because there's an emotional demand for everyone. Whether an office might be different, but they still might want to have a portrayal of strength or pride or of being in business a long time. But if it's a home, you might want levity. You might want, I don't know, whatever it is, a pensiveness. If you can get the feel for that, you can talk about your images and how, not that you just wanted to study, but that you wanted to capture different emotions that you felt from nature. Okay? And the one with the buildings, I felt the strength, I felt the interlocking of nature coming to a stalemate with, mankind, whatever that feel is. If you have an honest thing, if it rings true with that person, they'll start to say, I see that, and I like that feel, that's what I want to accomplish. If you just expect someone to be sold on their own, you cut your odds significantly. Because most people, if they like it, they might look at the next picture and say, oh, I like that. And they look at the next, and they get confused. They really do. It's like if you're looking for a house or an apartment and you visit the first one, I love this, but let's keep looking and the second one and the third. By the fifth house, you're saying, I just can't quite remember because there was no emotional attachment to anything. If you can create the emotional attachment, okay, you're not out there trying to make up stories. You're trying to find out what their needs are. And then you're trying to find a piece and say, well, how do you react to this? Because I'll tell you, when I photographed this is what I was thinking, which is very similar to what you're saying. If they can see that correlation, you're that much stronger, because then they can identify with it, and they'll never shake that from their mind. You're giving them what they want, and they're walking away happy. But just to tell people to walk in and look at 50 pieces, it's really, really hard. Unless they say, I love that, I have to have it. And then they do buy it, and then you get a certain sales volume. But
So
if
it
you
has to
help
be
them,
something special about it, something.
listen, everyone
outstanding.
sells.
Right.
I'm just saying that's more of a passive approach. Here it is, choose. And if you're really lucky, they come along. But if you can create in them, and they can mentally see that emotional attachment that you want them to have, that's a long-term thing. That's why if you're shooting people, especially children, that bond, if the parent sees that emotion that they see in their kids all the time, they love that forever. Like 30 years from now, when the child is 30, 32, 35, they see that 2-year-old is the same person, because that emotional attachment is still there. And the same should be true with nature or anything else.
So how long did it take for you to write the book?
Well, again, the book took me maybe a month for my first draft, and then a few months to clean it up and edit it down and things like that.
So maybe about 2.5 months, 3 months.
No,
or
it took
something.
me probably 3-4 months, because I wrote it without looking at it any websites. I didn't want to be influenced by things like that, and so I actually handwrote it. Then I had to get it onto the computer. That took me longer than writing it, but no, yeah, I wanted a book that it doesn't matter if I wrote it today or a year ago or 20 years from now. That if you pick it up 20 years from now, the concepts are still valid, and they are. So it's kind of like when it gets down to sales and logic and strategies, they don't change. I mean, your tactics may, but in technology might change certain things, but the fundamental elements and the fundamental logic is always the same, always the same. And if you can get an understanding of that concept and you can put it to use, you'll be far more successful. Even if you're a success, you'll be even more successful.
Well, this is a book I would love to read. I would love to read this. Have you done any book signing?
No, I've signed some books from people because I've made several presentations at business organizations, chambers of commerce, and different business groups and stuff. And if people want it signed, I'll sign it. I'm not. I'm kind of like. I feel funny doing that, but if people ask, I do it, and I guess it's nice to do. Someone asked me if I could sign their ebook, and I'm like, I can't. I actually figured out a way to sign ebooks, but I can't.
So you have an ebook version of this?
Right. I kind of like discourage the ebook version because with an ebook, you have a hyperlink to chapters and a table of contents. Like if I'm reading a book and I say, well, let me go back to this, or let me go back and here. I tend to mark up things, circle things that are important.
Right.
Like in the book, I'll have italicized. I'll have certain, I'll give examples on how you would present a concept. And so I'll italicize. I'll do that. And I might, in the beginning of each chapter, I start with a little passage, which is basically drawn from the YS page. See, the YS page is my critical page, and that actually fuels every single page of the website, because that's where you lay down all of your strengths, all of the differentiating facts, all of your uniqueness, all of the benefits, quantifying of the benefits, all laid out in that page. It's a long page, or it could be short, but that sales information, you use pieces of it in your homepage, pieces of it in the products and services, pieces of it in the what's new, hot, and special page, or in the important company information page and things like that, or the contact us. Even the contact us page should be sales oriented, but reinforcing that, as you know, member or customer care is of utmost importance. Any questions, any issues, anything at all, please, here's how you'd contact us. But really invite them to contact or visit if that's the case. But letting them know that it is important to us, not just contact and the names and, make it personal. So they say, oh, okay, thank you, and I will, Listen, if they call you, it's your chance to actually speak to somebody, which is nice.
So basically, this book is about the internet and website, but it can also apply to other areas as well.
Yeah, I tend
which
to
is
do that.
good.
Right.
Which is good. So I would say it's very informational.
Okay.
Me, like it's really powerful.
If you look at it, if you
No,
absorb
because
it,
I'm
and you
listening
apply
to
it.
everything that you say, and you're speaking perfectly to me. Like I can understand exactly what you're saying, and this book will go a long way. This is like a book that you want to read it over and over again, and then use it to apply to different things that
Right.
you're trying to do in your life,
Right.
and then you want to put it right there on the shelf where you can get right to it, because this is going to be a book that you're going to pull off the shelf quite a bit.
Right.
That's how good it is.
But fair disclosure, though, I do have several of the chapters addressed to each of the website pages, which might seem strange, but it actually, if you're not a business person of any sort, then you might be confused. Why am I buying a book about websites? But if you have any sort of association with business, then that's your excuse to read it and apply it. And that's why off camera we were talking how with my kids, I'll often say, read chapter 4, lay it out, and then you know how to present yourself. You know, whether it's, you know, for any of those things, interviews or job evaluations or trying to obtain new clients or customers.
And you're saying even for job evaluations?
Yes.
Really?
Well, you're selling yourself. You're selling the strengths. You're selling the benefits you provided
Right.
the company.
Right.
And it's very hard to refute once you lay it out. A lot of times these things get lost. And people, you think they know, but people have to be reminded because in the course of a day, there's hundreds of things that cross your table, desk, whatever. And, you know, over the course of a year, you'll remember a few things. You'll also remember the bad things, which you shouldn't. You know, someone falls asleep at the desk, you'll never get that out of your mind. You know, but, you know, if you sit down and say, listen, I think I've been a wonderful, you know, compliment to this organization. I've helped a great deal. This has been a wonderful experience for me. Well, let's just go over some of my accomplishments, and then you can discuss them. I mean, if you're too embarrassed or afraid to talk to, let's say, the individual evaluating you, then you're not going to get anything. And if you never ask, you definitely will never get anything. It's only in the movies where all of a sudden, you know, things fall out. I mean, everyone is in awe of the half a dozen or so internet companies that have created billionaires. But there's hundreds of thousands of internet companies that are gone. You know, they've succeeded. Now, maybe they were in the right place at the right time, but maybe they just asked and presented in a way that, you know, really good salesmanship. So, you know, this book is designed for anybody. If you understand the concepts and you can learn to apply it, you can turn your life into a better success than it is. That's all. There's always more room for more growth, in my opinion.
So what was, in closing, what was your last paragraph, your last chapter?
My conclusion?
Yeah, your conclusion. What was that about? I know it had to total up everything.
Well, I think, let me just see unfortunately, I have a very long passage. You know what? I'll read you one sentence.
Okay.
If you have learned anything, hopefully, it is that if your goal is to sell, and sell more, then you must serve the needs of your customers. Okay? You must find everything unique, differentiating, and special about you, your company, your products, and/or services. And I mean, you have to sit back and take a look at you or your products or your services. And I'm working on a project right now, and it's a bartering organization, association. And what I'm putting together the basic stuff for them. And one of the questions on an application is, what is special, unique, and different about your business? Okay, and you know, things like that. And what will happen is they'll take that information and they're going to write a little paragraph, sales presentation on the company based on their strengths, based on what's different, so that when you go in and say, I'm looking for a jeweler, or I'm looking for a graphic artist, there'll be a description, unlike anything they're going to find on these people's websites, but it will let people say, oh, that sounds interesting. Then they can link into the website, get the other basic facts in a non-sales manner, but at least they'll have some sales in front of them, okay, that they'll say, I am interested in that. Or, no, I'm not. That's fine. So don't waste anyone's time if that's not for you. But if you, you know, and also the whole point I make is customer care, customer service is so important for anybody. You know, do you treat them well? It is not. And if you do, you can let them know and give them hard examples of what you do. And that all boils down to your policies and everything else. You know, you're trying always to work with them, to help them through difficult things like the 8.5 or 8.5% sales tax. You know, maybe there's a compromise you make. You know, and I give ideas, you know, for different things like that. How you're showing that it really is something. You're not just saying we really have strong customer service or care. You're showing them. And every page you want to keep emphasizing those aspects of it. And you do that also with your interview and your evaluation.
Right.
You show that you do care and you want to make a success for both you and the company, and show how you're contributing.
It's wonderful how you just put everything down and shared it with the public. It's wonderful. You did. You just opened up and you put your thoughts and everything into this book, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful. I'm almost at a loss for words. But this is really wonderful. You have to get the book. And how can we go about getting the
Well,
book?
a few ways. The easiest is Amazon.com.
Amazon.com.
And in the search box, you can type in Wonder Web.
Mm-hmm.
You can type in my name, David Lagone, or the title no one's going to remember. But Wonder Web is the easiest thing, and if they remember the black cover with the difficult to see bridge, it's should be in the top 1, 2, or 3 items, and but
Okay.
bridging the sales point.
Okay, so if you're interested in purchasing the book, you can go to Amazon.com and you can type in David Lagone or Wonder Web, and there you have it. I know I'm going to get me a book. So we'd like to thank you so much. I enjoyed both of my guests, John Richards, David Lagone. Thank you so much for being a guest on the
You're
show.
welcome, and thank you.
And thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I'd like to thank you viewers for watching the show. Ain't no mountain too high. And we'll see you in December, the second Tuesday. Take care.
Okay.